Welcome to the MaxBet Podcast, a podcast dedicated to everything gaming. I'm Landon Jones, here with Mike McKiski. Let's get started. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, Captain Energy is back and ready for the podcast. Mike, how you doing on this lovely, beautiful day today?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
You're full of energy.
You're full. That's pretty typical for you.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited, man.
Little bang energy going.
It's I got no job.
I got no job. I got no money.
Nah, I got a job. MaxBet TV, MaxBet Corporation, MaxBet LLC.
We're cranking.
We're cranking.
Yeah, man. Before you get in all that, is it really sweater weather? Are you jumping the gun a little bit? I mean, I know it's October.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, it's 85.
I'm jumping the gun.
You're sweatering it.
I'm big time jumping the gun. I enjoy wearing sweaters.
I love hoodies is what no one, you're going to find me in team hoodie, but I'm just laughing when we wear it now. It's like a sweat camp.
Why do you like sweaters?
They're comfortable.
Yeah, they're like a comfort blanket,
It's like
right?
you're just walking around with a hug.
Yeah.
Like somebody's just lightly hugging you all day.
Honestly,
Yeah,
it feels like that.
I'm not mad about it.
Yeah, I'm wearing my comfort
You
blanket.
just needed a hug, so you threw a sweater on in the 90 degrees.
It is a little hot, actually. It's cooler in the mornings and evenings, though. So I woke up and
Fair. Walked the dog, needed the hoodie.
Walked the dog, needed the hoodie, needed a hug.
Needed a hug.
I needed a hug this morning,
Oh,
so
man.
that's why I have it on.
Speaking of needing a hug, I don't know if we talked about this on air, but back in January, I was all hyped because I ordered rollerblades. You remember that? Yeah. And so I forgot about it. So I ordered them. We talked about it. People were chirping me, going, "Yeah, right, buddy. You're going to order these." I ordered them, right? They say I'll be there in a month. They show up mid-September. So it was 9 months. I could have had a baby faster than I got the rollerblades, but finally got them. Wrecked pretty hard first time out.
Yes, I wish I would have seen that.
We didn't film it because I knew. I was like, and if I film the first one, it's going to just be like a fail video, and I don't want to be famous for that. A couple times in and out, up the hill, driveway, the whole thing. And so now I'm like, I'm getting a little better. So we're probably a week or after G2E, we'll start posting some content of us doing dumb things.
Of you rollerblading?
Yeah, because I'm getting better,
Do you rollerblade like up and down your street?
Yeah, around the neighborhood.
Do you need a license plate for your big ass to go? Do you stop at all this stuff?
No, not yet. That is perfect. What a great roast. I was not expecting that.
You just go into the to the DMV and like, can I get a license plate for my ass? Because I'm rollerblading around.
Just an O lineman rollerblading in the street. But I will tell you, I probably should have some sort of noise, like a bell or something, because I'm not very good at stopping, right? That's how you fall. So it's like, and they even tell you online, like you Google online, they go, it's fine. They go, how do you rollerblade? Like they tips and tricks, and they go, well, you should just learn how to fall because you're going to fall a lot. And then they're like, and if you don't know how to stop, just dive into grass.
Yeah.
That's like an actual technique. They go, look, if you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, that's not helpful to me at all. Right? So,
tell your neighbors like, hey, dude, get out of my lawn.
Yeah, he's like, what the hell?
Like,
got this giant like person-sized grass angel. But anyway, so yeah, hopefully not too many vids of me wrecking, but that is just the reality. I'll be just cruising around and diving into the grass. But so I've been excited about it. Now I realize I should go register myself, dick. But other than that, all good.
Can I get car insurance for an overly sized man?
For a 300-pound rollerblader, that's what we're looking for. Right.
I have nothing. I can just
it's the pinnacle of content, right there. What have you been up to? So that's what I've been doing.
Just pulling all my sweaters out.
just gently hugging yourself with your fashion.
I mean,
G2E
what
is
haven't I
upon
been
us.
up to? Yeah, we just finished G2E.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Man, it was fun doing G2E on your own.
Yeah.
Right? So we talked about it a little bit with JB going, hey, now we don't have to stay in the booth all day, right? But now just walking around and
actually get to see product.
See a lot of people, kind of chat with a lot of people. And then just everybody's generosity was great. Like they were like, hey, you guys are on your own. Why don't you come to our event?
Yeah.
And I mean, it was like a dozen events that we got to swing through and say hi. And, for me, grab a cocktail. For you, just drain the local club soda supply. It's been, it was fun. It was a great week. And it was just really, grateful to everybody that hosted us and met with us and had some fun.
Yeah, I'm curious to see and I won't say what I think is going to work right now, but it seems like there's a lot of cool new product coming out and I can't wait to see if my
See it hit the floor.
theories
right?
are correct
right.
on what's going to work and what's not going to work.
Yep.
But it was neat because usually I'm only doing that for our booth, right? Like
Yeah.
for the AGS booth saying, oh, I think this game will work or this game will. Now we have a much broader, visual of what we think is going to work and what's not going to work. There's a lot of cool technologies out there right now, a lot of AI programs, a lot of sports betting platforms. Going to G2E and not looking at just slot product was also interesting. There's a lot of little.
We say it all the time, man. When you're sitting there and you're going, we started the pod thinking we know this business.
Yeah.
And then we're 50, 60 episodes in. You're going, we don't really know much. I mean, now we know a ton more.
Yeah.
But so much you don't realize. And so for me, when you were talking about it, saying this is the first year I got to go see the little booths, right? Like I think we call it Gucci Row, where you go. What is it? It's every Psy Games, Konami, Aristocrat, AGS, right? Interblocks on the road. So you get a lot of the big manufacturing. You go, okay, well, you can kind of do that in an hour and feel like you have a good sense. But then you start going into the blocks where there's 20 booths on the same row, and you're going, what do you guys do? Like,
what row is that called?
I don't know. What's the fake Gucci? Fucci?
Fake.
I don't know. Whatever the smaller Gucci. What is it? It's Massimo. Is that the Target brand?
I was
going
to say like the Forum shops or something.
You're asking the wrong guy, bro. I don't know all the fashion hierarchies, but it's the other side of Gucci Row, and it's. But you just forget. There's people going, oh, you got coins you need to sort? We sell coin sorters. You got chips that are dirty? We sell chip cleaners. We do, and it's like amazing to think about all the little things that go into the smooth operation of gambling.
Yeah.
It's wild. And it was fun to be able to walk around and chat with a lot of those smaller businesses. And what's cool is usually it's the owner standing there, right? So you get to meet the guy that either invented the thing or founded the company, which is cool. So I had a blast. It might have been my funnest is not a real word, but the most fun I've had at G2E. My most fun at G2E.
My most fun time.
To date, yeah.
Next year we should go rollerblade it.
just roll. I'll definitely need to be registered for that. Just be like, hey, buddy, there's a million victims here in your way.
No, it was cool. It was definitely different to see G2E in walking in our own shoes. The Chuck crew.
The Chucks, yeah, man.
The Chucks
Gotta
were fun.
Do it.
I'm just pumped for next year. We're gonna have our own probably booth next.
Yeah, we got to talk.
year.
I have some fun ideas, so hopefully, I think it's Carrie or Corby. I don't know. I'm butchering her name, but the lady, she's on a lot of the emails that runs G2E, so I want to connect with her. I didn't see her at the show. She's probably running 1 million miles an hour, but and see if we can do some fun stuff, like not just sit in a
like
booth
a moving booth. We could have like a rollerblading moving booth.
Just these guys are gonna want like a boom box and a microphone and just rollerblade around. I don't know. Figure it out. Swag giveaways. That's all.
Sorry if we wasted your morning.
This is not a waste. This is fun.
This has been a fun interview. Speaking of small booths and innovators,
Talking Acres.
We're talking Acres.
Well, Acres, their latest module. So what's cool is what they've done is they've built what they call foundation, and then they have modules that stack on top. So it's like, for whatever reason, I think of it like Legos. It's probably not the way to explain it. But their latest module is pay action bonusing,
right?
Which is more for me. So video poker's your thing. So for me, sports, right? And so what's cool about it is you can now trigger bonusing events on the game based on live sports on TV. So like the easy example here in town is the Knights, right? So Golden Knights hockey team. Game's on, I'm gambling, Knights score a goal. Well, hey, I can get some sort of reward for that. So they can just give you a straight free play. Say, hey, congrats, a Knight scored. Here's $5 in free play or X amount. They could tier it. Say, hey, platinum guys are getting 25, whatever. You can also say they scored a goal for the next 2 minutes.
Right.
All of your bets are doubled. So you now get a 2-minute window where anything you win.
Dude, that is so
it's fun, right? So it's like to me, it's what's cool is it just keeps that excitement going. You're always pumped when you score, your team scores, especially in hockey. It doesn't happen all that often. High five, and now you go, hey, I got a X amount of window to.
So on the little iView screens, can they bring the game up? So say like this. This would be really neat. I'm playing video poker. I'm accruing my player points, right? Cash back, whatever the points are.
Yep.
And it says, hey, the Knights game's starting in 10 minutes.
Yep.
Would you like to place a $10 bet on the Knights to win? And you can use your player points. And you say yes. And if they win, it just downloads it right into your account. $20 you win or whatever the odds are. But Could they pull the game up as well? This is insane. Like, this is really cool technology.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned...
I'm adding to their technology.
Yeah,
as we
you're
are
just
here,
like freeballing that.
Yeah.
So Acres thing is bonus based on the event.
Which is rad.
Which is cool. And so
Awesome.
to learn more about that, just go
Yes.
to acresmanufacturing.com. It's got everything you need to know.
Okay.
There's video demos and everything there. Your next question, I feel like goes a little bit, Acres can probably help with this, but you mentioned iView, right? So I was talking to Bone Dog over at Sci Games. Bone Dog. And so he's got iView, right? He runs the systems division and the iView DM. And so they have a TV component on the DM. So I don't know enough about how they pull the feed, but there's definitely a mechanism where the game can be on the screen.
Yeah.
And then, again, I don't know if Sci Games does this, but Acres could definitely do it where you say, games watching, bonus event triggered, and now you're to what you're saying. So now you got either video poker or whatever game you're playing, live sporting event on the TV, side screen, bonus coming in at you. I mean, it's all out there. Just plugging the pieces together.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I'm sitting here creating new products as we're trying to explain
it's good. Yeah.
another really cool product, but it just opened my mind to all the opportunities and ideas. And I think it's neat. You got to start learning about it now.
We want to be immersed in it. Like if you're doing it, you want to be immersed.
Point. It's like, start learning about it. Get on board with this new program that they have, because it's got a million ways it can go.
Well, yeah.
And you need to start conditioning your players and educating people and moving that route. I love it. If you didn't get a chance to see or go to Acres booth during G2E, give them a shout. We got a little bit of the demo at G2E. It's unbelievable what they're doing, and we're really just, at the base camp here.
Yeah. Oh, they're just getting started.
There's a lot to go. They're not. Yes. Who do we have today, man? I'm pumped.
I'm excited, man. I would say hold your horses. I'd say hold your horses, but we're letting our horses out of the stable today.
Well done.
Thank you. Tried to do a little verbal gymnastics there for you. We have can't do real gymnastics, so I may as well do verbal gymnastics. So we have Jeremy Stein.
Yep.
And people may be thinking, who the hell is Jeremy Stein? You probably know him. If not, he is the co-founder and CEO now of Exacta.
Correct.
So Exacta is historical horse racing.
Yep.
So our old shop, AGS, that's who uses their outcomes. But basically, they're the engine that takes all the horse racing history and uses the data, and then they can produce slot machine outcomes based on
big growing business right now.
Huge growing business.
Yeah.
I mean, it's big business for pretty much every manufacturer, but it's coming in states where you don't see traditional gaming. So
it's like the class 2 of government.
Yeah,
state.
exactly.
It's weird.
100%.
I love it though.
Where horse racing's allowed, they go, well, it's horse racing, so they've worked the laws and they work the rules, and I think it's only growing. It seems like they've added a few new states. So
they call that loopholes, people.
Is that what they call them? Nice.
All right.
Dictionary.landon.com. Yeah. So what do you think? Bring them in.
I say we jump in.
Jeremy, what is going on, man? Thanks for joining us here on the podcast, man. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Just down here in South Florida, enjoying the hot, steamy weather during the summer. That's about it.
Thanks for coming on. I'm excited to hear about your guys' journey, what you're working on. It seems like historical horse racing is on an upward trajectory, so we're happy you joined us.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, so like speaking of kind of your story and how'd you get started in the biz? I mean, obviously we'll get to some of the horse racing stuff, but I think you started even before that with gambling and casino related stuff.
Yeah, it goes all the way back to 95. And when I first moved to Florida, down from Maryland to Florida in 92, just kind of went around and was living on the beach, playing volleyball, not a care in the world, and started doing consulting work, software consulting. So I had gigs every now, all types of different gigs, software gigs, and then came across this one for a gaming company called Progressive Games.
Oh, yeah.
Went in there, and it was to do some security software for their progressive table games called Caribbean Stud. So any of you kind of old school gaming guys are going to know what Caribbean Stud is. And then the original Progressive Games back in the day was found, down here in South Florida. We were primarily in the Caribbean, but then that was one of the first novelty table games that took off in the industry. So I was just doing a consulting gig for them. And, probably a couple months into that, they liked what I did, offered me a full-time position. And I was like, I got it pretty good, just living on the beach, just doing whatever.
Volleyball and consulting.
Exactly. Yeah, it was awesome. But then they were like, your first job requirement will be moving to Australia. was like, all right, that sounds like a pretty good deal. Let
Doesn't
me go
suck.
ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let me go ahead and do that. So I came on full time, lived in Australia for a couple months, and in order to get Caribbean Stud at the Crown Casino in Sydney Harbor when it was just the
Yeah.
Darling Harbor when it was just opening. So that was back in mid '95, late '95, and I was hooked. Ever since then, I was hooked.
Were
So
you
it
guys
was
a distributor of Shuffle Master then for Australia? For Caribbean Stud Poker?
oh, so little history rewrite for you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm in.
Yeah, it happens all the time. But Progressive Games was the first one with Caribbean Stud, and then Shuffle Master came around later and acquired some of the rights and some of the patents.
Interesting.
But actually, Micon Gaming bought Progressive Games in 1998, and that's kind of where I transitioned from being an employee for a gaming company, and then with a colleague of mine from Progressive Games, Glenn Rose, we started Intuicode Gaming in 2000, which was my first, gaming company in order to build IP. But Shuffle Master, they had their 3-card stud product, and that was using, a coin spot progressive table game kind of technology as well.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how all that kind of came about early on in the mid 90s.
Yeah, that's wild.
It's so cool to see these little pieces come together. So we interviewed John Akers, and Micon Gaming was John and Mike.
Yeah.
And that's how they came up with Micon, John, Mike.
Yep.
So it's just fascinating to see all these little pieces tie together. That's cool.
Yeah, in '98, when Micon bought Progressive Games, that was, it was either I moved to Vegas or stay in South Florida. I had just gotten married, had a child on the way, bought a house. My business partner, same kind of story. So it was like, we're going to stay here in South Florida, and let that ride this out and see what happens. We stayed on with Micon for a couple of years after, just supporting the table games product. But after that, we started just building our own company, and that was kind of a long slog that we had to do. Just talking a little bit about that, it was a good 20 years of Intuicode Gaming building IP for the gaming industry, and we built a slot platform that we could help other startup gaming companies easily get into market. And so we built a really good reputation over the years in doing that, including building our own content so that we could prove that our platform works. We would, had some mild success in getting some content out, but our business model was always build a platform for other startup companies, being a serial entrepreneur type of a person.
Interesting. Yeah, that's wild. Well, and separately, like, I'm glad to know now that you spent some time in Australia, because it actually collected all the dots for me. So we were giving you a hard time before we recorded because you were on the Animal Planet show building a custom pool, right? And right in the middle of it is an outdoor shower, right? And so I'm laughing because we had a few guys. And so you may not know this, but we had a few guys, big name guys like yourself, really successful in gaming. Scotty Olive, who created Lightning Link, and Dallas Orchard, who's running Asia Pac for IGT.
Yeah,
and they're Aussies, right? And they're both like, yeah, we got the outdoor showers, and that's where all the thinking happens. And I'm like, well, no wonder you're incredibly successful. You have the key ingredient, right? You can stand outside and clear your mind and invent the next best tech. So, go ahead.
I was to say, I think they left out an important ingredient, and that's Bundaberg. That's one of their on tap kind of bourbons that they have there.
Yeah, that's it. Bourbon in the shower, got to get it going.
That's the made for Australians by Australians, right?
Yeah.
That's the brand.
That's right.
Why you don't see it anywhere outside Australia. That's right.
Got to try to get some out. Yeah. Oh, that's wild. So is that IP company you guys were working through, is that how you then entered into Exacta? Like, you just started building this platform, and then here we are with historical horse racing? And how'd you get into the HHR? Because you founded Exacta. Am I understanding that right? And then
part of the original group that started Exacta. So again, as I was saying, we were, out in the industry, providing IP for startups. Built a good reputation. If you called, if you call like a GLI or a Colt Kepro, which is a slot cabinet manufacturer, and you were saying, I have a game idea, who can I go to in order to make it happen? And we were one of the tops on the list of people that they would recommend. So that's pretty much how it happened with HHR. It was the ownership of Kentucky Downs was looking for an alternative to the single source provider that they had on their floor. So they went out and started to figure out who could help build another type of HHR or a product that can grow with the way their business was growing at the time. So in 2013, I got this call from someone from Cole saying, "Hey, you want to come out to Kentucky Downs and take a look at what this product HHR?" And I was like, "What the heck is HHR?" I had no clue what it was at that time.
Most people still don't know what it is. So back then, I could imagine you not knowing even less. Like, it's a complete shot in the dark at that point.
Yeah, 100%. And there was like no news, nobody involved with it. It was a very under the radar kind of product, and in just in limited areas. It was basically in Arkansas and in Kentucky, and and it started, and then in Wyoming. But when in 2013, when I went out there to Kentucky Downs, saw the product on the floor, was like, okay, I see what this is. Got the pitch from management and a couple of consultants they hired, which were Jeff Lynn and Joe Insminger, whom they've been in the gaming industry for quite some time as well. So their expertise was on the systems side, Intuicode, and my expertise was on the terminal side.
Right.
So when I got the pitch of this kind of central determinant type of gaming system, and then focused with historical horse racing, I got it. I was like, I get it, and I knew straight away that this was something that if I jumped in with 2 feet and redirected Intuicode and partnered up with Jeff and Joe and these guys and the management of the Kentucky Downs partners, we could build something. I mean, there was never a guarantee that what we built would get on the floor, but I just knew innately that if what we could build was going to be competitive, if not better than what was on the floor at that time.
Yeah, wow.
So you had all the pieces, you just needed to put it together, and you have done that.
Architect it, yeah.
That's right. That's right. And that was on the gaming side. One of the other important aspect of it was ensuring we had the racing side of it as well. Yeah. So, we also brought in Patrick Neely, who was key in getting HHR even passed in Kentucky in 2011. He was, one of the key individuals that pushed for the Racing Commission and Kentucky Downs to give HHR a shot. And then Tom Aronson and his expertise in racing. So we brought their expertise in racing, our side on the gaming side, and then we were able to quickly put a product together. And as soon as we, took off in 2013, we had a product ready in 2014, and we were on the floor at Kentucky Downs in April of 2015. So it happened very quickly, but it's one of those overnight successes that took 20 years to get to.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't by any means done in that short period of time. It was just everybody's experience was able to gel together and make a product really quickly.
So I'm curious, when you guys are building a business plan around HHR and you're looking at your projections, are you guys limited on your growth? I mean, only certain properties are going to have HHR. How do you guys expand once you're in most of the properties that host a system like that?
Yeah, I mean, especially in the beginning, again, just to talk a little bit about what we built. What we built, from the onset was intended to, get best of breed. So not just the Intuicode product, was to build an API and something that was an open architecture to bring in IGT, Cygames, all of the big guy manufacturing, all the best of breeds, and bring them onto the floor. But there was no market. It was very limited. Yeah. And so, to your point, a business plan was very difficult to, establish one that was compelling for investors. Right. So there was a lot of risk in the beginning, and then also to go out and attract best of breed manufacturers to bring their product. We had like 2 floors. The market at that time was, maybe 1,000 machines. So it was very difficult to, get the large companies that want to spend R&D dollars towards porting their content into the HHR market. So now currently, and what we did, after we got started was we would go out and we would look at states that, didn't currently have casino gaming, that had racetracks that were, in distress or underperforming or needed a boost, that weren't getting what they needed out of the stipend from the casino industry.
Yeah.
Because the important part about HHR is, it was a shot in the arm for the racing industry. Because what I learned very quickly when I got involved with HHR is there's a ton of passion for racing, and
Sure.
it's not just the track that's involved here.
Right.
And that was important in our solution. And what we're doing is, a portion of the win that occurs on the floor goes towards the purses for the races. It goes towards ensuring that there's economic development for, the farmers, the jockeys, the veterinarians. I mean, this industry goes wide. So it was important, and it was, kind of humbling to realize that what we were doing wasn't just, putting a new gaming product out and ultimately creating a new gaming market segment. It was actually a big positive impact for an industry and many people involved in that industry.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like I was actually thinking about that because you said, like for me, I'm from the West Coast for the most. I mean, I was born in New York, but I grew up in Vegas, so not a lot of horse racing here, right? And so, but when I watch it on TV, it seems very formal. People dressing up nice, the hats, right, the whole thing. So I'm going, how are they going to respond to this electronic version of racing, right? The HHR, like there would almost be, I almost thought there'd be like some purists going, we don't want this in our game. Like we want to keep it what it is, but what it sounds like is they're like, no, this is a good way to expand horse racing. It's a good way to kind of fuel the ecosystem of, like you mentioned, the trainers and the jockeys and everybody else. So it sounds like maybe you guys were welcome with open arms a little bit from the racers, or is there,
Yeah, 100%. And one of the things that we also wanted to ensure with our electronic version of this product, originally it was a single race, and that was the first innovation of it. Eric Jackson in Arkansas around 1997 came up with the concept of using past races in order to help the Arkansas track, Oaklawn Park, get out of its situation and turn its race meets around, and it did it very successfully. When that concept got to Kentucky Downs, instant racing with one single race was, it was quickly determined it wasn't really engaging enough for how they were growing their market. So we innovated what was existing with the innovation of being able to wager on a plurality of events, meaning more than one race, one historical horse race, which allowed a lot of more different permutations and probabilities to occur, so that we can have more engaging games, introduce game mechanics that weren't conceivable at the time. So, but also doing that is wanted to ensure that we were sticking with what pari-mutuel is. And to your point about ensuring that those that were used to handicapping could have the opportunity to sit down at one of these terminals and still handicap a race. So all of our games, you can sit down and you can look at the races and you can look at some stats and pick the horse order, and all of the outcome is based on finishing order. So win, place, show. Those are the types of things that you want to get in order to win the outcome of the race. And then we just take that outcome, kind of a price first type of scenario, and then we map that to some engaging game mechanics that it's entertaining for the player.
Yeah, maybe you can help me understand that. So, like when I walk in and play a slot machine that's hooked up to a historical horse racing system, right? So by Exacta here, my understanding is if I'm a player and I put my money in and I hit the spin button, it doesn't really look any different to me, right? Like it feels maybe like a Vegas game.
Yeah.
But in the back end, like what's actually happening? Are you just betting on, is it just a random assignment? Like, okay, you got the Exacta bet in this race historically, or is it just a winner every time? Like, how do you, like, once I hit the button, what's being assigned to me and how is that driven? Like, I don't know that anybody really could explain that better than probably you could.
Yeah, sure. I'll attempt to do it.
Hopefully
get it. But yeah, when you come to one of our games, you have the opportunity. You're presented with 3 races, and those 3 races are randomly picked from a big database of races.
Sure.
Of like 100,000 different historical races, and then we'll pick 3 of those races, and then you have the opportunity to either handicap those manually, which means you can go look at stats and, as I was just saying, pick which horse you think is the favorite and going to win, or you can do what we provide is an auto cap. And auto cap simply means that we're going to order the horses for you, not in a quick pick type of fashion, which you can do in live racing, but we order the horses in off odds order, which means the favorite to long shot. And that, kind of gives you, a good chance of winning, sometimes better than just manually handicapping. Or if you're a good handicapper, then you're going to go manual handicap. So the default is for quick pick or for the auto cap. So the player can sit down, select auto cap, and then hit the play button. Yeah. And then what happens there is the finishing or the prediction that the player made, whether it's through quick pick or the manual handicapping, that is sent back to the server. The server determines if that was a winning outcome. We'll then get the prize associated with that winning outcome and then return that prize down to the machine. And then the machine will then display through many different types of game mechanics or other features
and
of how much
like
that player won.
Yeah, no time.
That's wild.
It happens quickly. Yes.
But if you present the races, so if you're presenting the races that you're saying, okay, you can choose A, B, or C, I'm assuming, like, couldn't you just Google it and go, okay, well, I'm going to choose the 1985 Kentucky Derby, and this is the winner, so bang, bang, bang. Like, is it no dates on it? It's like you can pick the Derby or Saratoga or something else. Like, I just feel like if it's historical, couldn't the internet solve that problem for you?
Yeah, it's a great question, and people try, but at the end of the day, we obfuscate a lot of the data so that they don't have information that will indicate to them what that race was and when. However, at the end of the race, when it's over, when your experience is over, you have the opportunity to view the chart. We get all of our data from Equibase, so we have the player has the opportunity and the level of comfort knowing that they've wagered on a race that actually took place with the real stats, with the real finishing orders, and they can then use that information to go confirm on go Google that race and
that it was a legitimate outcome that they experienced.
Correct.
Think about Equibase, man. You're just this company that's been collecting data, and then all of a sudden a company comes to you and say, hey, we want to pay you for all that data that you've been sitting on.
You're the hottest thing in the biz.
No, and they've been a great partner, and the important thing with with Equibase and our partnership with them is they have a relationship with all of the tracks. So outside of what we're doing for the specific track in which HHR is installed, our partnership and our contract with Equibase ensures that all the tracks do benefit from what we're doing, and it's going back into the industry for the rights to use that data.
Can you use that data? So if I'm a casino in Washington or California at a tribal property, can I run HHR and say I'm not going to do class 2, I'd rather do HHR, or does it have to be a horse track?
Yeah, well, again, I might get this number wrong, but wherever parimutuel is permitted, which I think is about 38 states.
Yeah.
Ideally, one could make an argument that HHR is also permitted because it is a parimutuel wagering device as well. But we do go through a process, and we have legislative challenges in certain states. We're very involved. One of the I was mentioning before, it was tough to get best of breed involved in the industry because there just wasn't enough market. But we were out there trying to forge the market in many different states and very active since the get-go. And in 2018 was really kind of a lot of the turning point for the industry. A couple of big milestones at that point that occurred. One was we were successful with our friends Revolutionary Racing in Virginia, who then ultimately sold the track to Peninsula Pacific, and now it's Colonial Downs. We got legislation passed in 2018, and that was a big kind of eye opener for folks. And the other big eye opener was Churchill getting involved, and they're using a competitor of ours with Ainsworth. But at the end of the day, for us, that was just continued validation that this is a legitimate market that people should pay attention to. And so for several years prior to that, I had gone to every G2E out there and every gaming show, whatever I could go and talk to the manufacturers and try to get them involved, but there were no takers because there just wasn't enough market. 2018, there was a big shift with that, with the Virginia opening and then Churchill Downs getting involved. And so then, now within the last 12 months, we've got Cy Games, IGT, AGS, incredible technology, gaming arts. We have a whole slew of best of breed manufacturers coming on our system so that we can go out and diversify the floors as the market continues to mature as well.
That's got to be frustrating. I just feel the pain there when you're going to a gaming show. You're like, we have this massive idea. Everybody's like, no, we don't want to mess with it. You're like, no, I need you. This is going to be big. Get on.
This is material. Yeah,
right. Sure. Right. It was a little bit of banging your head up against the wall experiences, but it was one of those things. Fortunately for us, we had the Intuit Code product and our own Exacta branded games that we could go out and continue to build the market as eventually we were building a new gaming sector that people are going to pay attention to. And lo and behold, here we are today.
Who was your first taker?
Our first taker was AGS.
Yeah, AGS home team.
There you go.
I love it.
AGS
awesome.
and IGT for us were the first ones to hop on board, and then we've since got others involved also.
That's
so
great.
We're always appreciative of that as well.
Yeah, that's fun.
Our good friends at AGS.
Oh, so I was going to ask you, so when you mention that, so you put in the system, like the engine, the results system, is that kind of one per property? Because you said you have a competitor out there with Ainsworth. Obviously, you're competing. When a property wants to get into this space, do they choose, hey, we're going to go with Exacta or Ainsworth, or do you exist in the floor on both? Like, do you guys both exist on the same casino floors, or how does that setup work?
Yeah, we're able to coexist. Initially, it was one of these one-stop shop type of deals, and especially when we're involved on the front end of a distressed kind of property facility, so we'll come in and we'll handhold. But before we got involved, no one even knew what a CMS was. So we brought in slot accounting system. The concept of SaaS was foreign. All these things were kind of not really in the industry. So we brought what we knew and understood in Class 3 into HHR to get it more standardized and more of the more open for others to come in. So at this point, we can coexist with different systems on the floor. Each system can have multiple different game manufacturers on their system, so it really gives the operator the opportunity to get diverse product on their floor and ensure that they're able to provide to their customer needs. So
that's good news. Yeah, because I remember thinking back, you talk about AGS when it was first discussed. I was like, all right, well, we're hooking in, like that's the one we're hooked into. It's not like it's like an outlet in the wall where you go unplug it here, plug it there. Like there's work to be done to integrate, our front end to Exacta's back end. So
correct.
It's nice that you can coexist, because you wouldn't want to see like half the market close because I don't know what the actual split is, but if you guys are 50-50, it's like, well, you as an AGS or an IGT, you shut down half your opportunity, right? But now it sounds like not, because you could just go in there and everybody lives together.
Right. We look to try and avoid that. Some scenarios are unavoidable, but then others, as the market continues to grow, and we just got legislation passed in New Hampshire as well, and that's going to be a big exciting market for us. And even though there isn't current racing going on there, what's turned out to be a very interesting thing with this product as well is historical horse racing. Not only will still continue, the tracks benefit from the Equibase relationship, but now in the state of New Hampshire, charities, it's charitable gaming. So now we're going to also have a big impact for charities in New Hampshire. So this product is really, one that not only beneficial for us, obviously, that's why we got into it, but it was also, it gives back quite a bit, That's a very good aspect of what we do. And important.
That is nice. That is nice to see. Like, who picks those charities? Like, is it do you get to prescribe? Hey, when we're giving back, we want to help XYZ cause. Is that the state of New Hampshire allocates that, or how do you assign like the benefit? Like, where does that go?
Yeah, so in New Hampshire, and I'm not sure how it works at every state, but in New Hampshire, we're not involved in that. It's the operators, the charitable gaming operators, and whom they partner up with.
Yeah, cool.
Are you able to expand this into online? So looking at all of
that's a good question.
Sports betting getting approved in certain jurisdictions, and people obviously bet on sports when sports betting is approved. So can you scale that to like an online platform?
Like mobile.
Yeah. We currently are online, just in one state. It's a great question.
Yeah, no home.
Well, hey, honestly, I would rather ask these questions because this is what other people are thinking. So.
Yeah, we partnered with a company, ELSG, in order where we provided our back end system for HHR to support their mobile effort. So they did the mobile wallet, the front end. We did the GUI for the horse experience for a mobile device, and they were successful in having Oregon be the hub for that. And we operate for HHR Mobile under the ADW, which is Advanced Deposit Wagering. So it kind of fits that model. And we did a pilot and went live in Oregon, just within the state of Oregon. So it's kind of geographically limited in certain areas, and that's going to run through the end of the year. And then after the end of the year in Oregon, due to some legislative changes, they're not going to operate there any longer, but we're hopeful that it can operate in other states in the near future. But again,
why is that? Was it not successful, or sorry?
No, it was pretty successful. I mean, I think there were some issues on how they felt it was permitted, and so they wanted to just take a step back and look at how that can be regulated properly and ensure that it's something that was even permitted to begin with. So again, we're treading on some new some new ground here,
trails. And exactly.
That's awesome.
And trying to get things done. So that's that was one of the things for us. The really important aspect of it was again proving that our product can work in a mobile environment as well. And moving forward, we're hopeful that we can see some benefit from that in other states.
Yeah, interesting. So where I guess so it sounds like some growing into mobile, or you have the framework. Hopefully you can push it forward and kicking down the door in New Hampshire. What's next for you guys? Are there more markets coming, or what's the future for Exacta here?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of growth within our current book of business. So within Kentucky, there's a lot of growth. There's additional growth in Wyoming. Our partners in Wyoming with Wyoming Horse Racing and 307 Horse Racing, they've got plans to really grow throughout Wyoming. And I think you had asked a question previously, how again about the systems. What we also do is distributed gaming. So in the case of Wyoming, and we'll likely do the same thing in New Hampshire, our servers don't exist within the four walls of the facility. We can do these networked commingled sites so that smaller properties, so these 30 to 100 machine locations, can communicate with other type locations of the similar size and share the pools, which enables the pools to grow. And again, you got to think of pari-mutuel pools akin to what a progressive is. The main difference is a pool ebbs and flows, and it grows as people wager in and goes down as people win from it. It doesn't just always go up until someone wins, like progressive. But it that's an important aspect of our system, is we can either support in four walls or markets like Wyoming, where it's distributed type gaming, and then start targeting these other regional smaller markets with our product. So that's something that we'll look to target. We have new states coming online, like New Hampshire, Louisiana just got approved as well. So it's a market that continues to grow, and again, it's just humbling to see how the industry that didn't know about it or ignored it in 2015
7 years ago.
has now really embraced it and looking to help grow it. And so that's a little bit of humbling to be involved with that from the get-go and create that market.
I think it's super cool to see guys like you take that torch and run with it, right? I mean, you guys are trailblazers doing things that people thought about, but they didn't want to take the hard road to figure it out. So congrats to you, and it's awesome what you guys have really done. It's cool to see it grow.
Thank you. Certainly wasn't alone. It certainly had a lot of...
never.
Hey, I get it, but it takes a lot of people, right?
I laugh because even on that, like, we're two guys doing a podcast, and they're like, hey, you two. I'm like, just us doing this, which is not horse racing, it's not legislature. There's a dozen people minimum that have helped us, not to mention the 50, 60 guests that have come on, right? So it's always a village. Like, we get to point to you as the face of it for now, but we know there's an army probably of support along the way. But so you mentioned something real quick about the pools. I have a question. So is it a house-backed game? Meaning if I go into the casino and I'm playing, in Vegas, I'm playing against the house, right? Is that true here? Or like what I'm hearing is maybe there's just a pool of money, and then every spin I win, I draw out of that, hoping someone else loses and funded? Or is that just a bonus thing, like the pool's separate for like a progressive, like you said? Like I guess I'm just curious,
It is certainly not a house-backed game. It is 100% player money that is
drives
awarded
all of
to.
it. Yeah.
Correct. The house takes a percentage, a commission off of each
Mm-hmm.
wager. Kind of, it's similar to poker. So they just take their rake at the beginning, and then all the rest of the money goes into the pool. Any wins that occur come out of that pool, and all the losses stay within the pool.
Go into the pool. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense, because when you started talking about distributed gaming and like kind of the advantages of linking, I'm like, why does it matter?
Yeah.
But that's why, because it's actually not the casino that says we have 10 million, try to get it. It's here's as much money that's in the pool. So if you're new, like if you're in Louisiana and you're coming online, or New Hampshire, you said, is coming online, how does the pool get started? Because what if I walk in and win spin one? Like, where does that get funded? Like, is there a seed that the casino puts in, and then you kind of replace it over time, or?
Yeah, and through legislation, those rules are defined as to how, and through the regulations of the regulatory body, define what is required in order to help stimulate play. Our system can support either seeding it or not seeding it. Either way, it's just, if you don't have a guaranteed pool amount, seed value, then there's just a little bit of time of building up the pool in order for some awards to come out of it that are meaningful. But again, the way our system is designed, and we have life-changing jackpots in what we call jackpots in what we do. We've awarded over in Virginia, and some of the properties in Virginia, over $900,000 to a single winner, so it's akin to what a progressive can be. So basically, every machine on the floor is essentially a quote-unquote progressive type game with the potential for these large jackpots.
Yeah, and maybe something you said is throwing me off, but when you adjust the ability, like the top jackpot effectively based on the pool. So like, for example, that $900,000 win, there's a certain combination or a certain exacta bet behind the scenes or whatever that triggered that. But would that have been a lower amount, I guess, if that pool didn't have $900,000 in it? Or what would happen at that? But like, would they say, well, we could pay you $500,000 now, but we got to wait for the pool to replenish? Like, it's bad. I'm probably asking too many questions on this, but I'm like, I've never thought about all this, right? Like,
that's a great question. And the way it works is, with HHR, it's like live racing and the pari-mutuel pools, and they operate the same way. Mm-hmm. So if you're familiar with racing terms like a pick six, it's akin to how a pick six works, where there's this big value for the individual or individuals that get all six races, the winner of all six races correct. Everyone else, though, that may have gotten a couple correct, or win, play, show, or whatever it may be, some other combination, wins a consolation prize. And so that's how it works. And then what's left over in the pool, if someone didn't win the big jackpot, then that carries over into the next event. So what's different in what we do in HHR versus live racing is that just happens very quickly and very often. So that's how those pools can grow quickly, and how the innovation of HHR, and then what we've done with the innovation of a plurality of races, allows these pools to grow and the different types of plays to occur, and have a really engaging gaming floor.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
So your biggest challenge right now is just getting new content in the HHR space to fuel a growing market.
Yeah, and that's what's amazing to me now. That's the most, that's the biggest challenge now is what the rest of the gaming sector's challenge is new content, new game mechanics, new different way. It's always trying to keep players engaged. So we've grown the market now to be where we're at that level. Instead of before, it's like, put whatever on the floor, they're going to play it because there's no other option. Now, we're at a competitive type of situation where we want to ensure that we're putting engaging content out there, and we have access to that through our partnerships with larger game manufacturers.
And it's a challenge for us too, because a lot of people listening don't understand. But if you go from class 2 gaming to class 3 gaming to HHR, it changes the math, right? So you think you have a slot machine, the math on it, then you add an HHR element, and you got to figure out how to make that ride the exact same while following or similar. So it's a challenge for us too, but it also helps us grow our business. And
because there's outside of the picking of the races, there's no random number generator involved in what we do. So that does add an element of difficulty in trying to get these Class 3 game mechanics ported over into a price first industry like HHR.
There's a random race generator though, right? So it's kind of
that's it. That's the only
okay.
aspect of it, is when it picks those 3 races for you to wager against. But other than that, there's no random number generator involved.
How many races are you pulling from? Do you guys have like an?
Yeah, we're close to about 100,000 different races that we have in our library, and we can update and change that with our partnership with Equibase at any time, which ensures that anyone trying to game the system is we can.
Well, if you're getting real technical, that would change the math. So if you have 100,000 horse races you're pulling from, and all of a sudden you raise it to 200, you'd have to let the manufacturer know.
That's correct. We would have to have all the math readjusted in order to support that. So when we have this pool of races that we currently use, we've stuck with it since we've started.
So switch gears real quick. We've pretty much covered HHR.
One other. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No.
I just not on HHR. I just have a question. I just didn't want you to get to gambling.
Oh no, I was going to ask Jeremy what you're most excited about in the gaming industry outside HHR.
I think one of the most exciting things, I don't know, it's kind of boring actually, is cashless.
Yeah, cool.
Not that boring. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those, items in a machine that cost a lot, the printer and the bill acceptor, even though I don't see a bill acceptor necessarily going away, but the consumables, the money handling, all of those things that you don't really consider when going to cashless kind of gets total cost of ownership of a machine down quite a bit. So I think that's a pretty exciting and finally coming around into the US. It's been pretty prevalent in international jurisdictions, but I think that in the U.S. it's going to make a really big impact.
That's one of those things that just bleeds into everything, right? If we can figure out how to save the operator money by not buying all those new extra features or paying more for the movement of cash, and they have more to spend on machines. If they buy more machines, the operator has more R&D dollars towards. I mean, it's just
that's
flows.
Right.
So that's cool.
More dollars to buy more machines.
Yeah, I was. So that's a great point, and I don't think cashless is boring. I think it's the future, and hopefully streamlines everything and just makes gambling even faster and easier for us in the future. What I was going to ask you actually is, I understand you're a Cuban American, right? And so being in South Florida, I didn't know if you've gone down to Cuba. It's a place I would love to go. Never been. I'm always fast. I always like the travel story. So I didn't know if you've been down there and run around Havana or.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if my name gave it away, Jeremy Stein, and I'm Cuban, but.
No, the little bird behind you, the marketing lady told us. I was like, oh, okay, makes sense. Yeah.
So I was, I was born in Cuba in '67,
okay.
And
awesome.
We came to the United States over the last kind of freedom flights in 1968, and it was my mom, 3 aunts, my brother, grandmother, grandfather. A story that's been told many times from many different people, but it was literally shirts on your back kind of a situation. Landed in Miami, and then the church had a sponsor family for us in Maryland. Now I was 14 months old at the time, so I don't really remember a whole lot of it, but I didn't grow up really knowing anything different, and it was one of those situations where even though we immigrated over and I was just 14 months old, it's something that it's quite a powerful story for my grandmother and my grandfather and all those that really took on a lot in order to get here, and then get here and start with zero, with nothing, and provide for us and put us in a situation where I can be CEO of a gaming company 50. I'll be 54 next week, 54 years later.
Happy early birthday. Yeah, there you go.
That gives me chills, dude.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I got goosebumps.
I have chills because thinking
about
if your mom hadn't made that decision.
Gotten on the flight. Yeah.
To take a 14-month
my biological father is still in Cuba, and so she remarried, and hence I was adopted, and the name Jeremy Stein came to fruition. But
it fits you.
I haven't been back to Cuba. I've been wanting to go back to Cuba, but I haven't done that yet.
Man. You'll have more of a roadmap to things to see, right? I'm sure it's like, here was the neighborhood. I mean, I don't know how much of that's still there, because you're talking, almost 50 years, right? But
it hasn't changed.
Right. Same. Yeah, exactly. Like, this was the house. Yeah, that's wild. Well, let us know when you go. I'd love to see. I don't know that I'll meet you there, but it'd be good. It'd be good to hear the stories and kind of, that's always been a culture that I grew up with some Cuban friends, and I've always been fascinated. We go over their house for the Ropa Viejas and all that, and it was like just such a fun, vibrant atmosphere. So I was like, oh man, you're right there. It's got to be fun there to hop.
I mean, there's a ton of stories I can get into, but I don't know how many hours you have in order to talk about them.
We'll do that. We'll do that
yada over.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how much Mike would stick out in Cuba? You got like a 6'7" white American guy.
Everywhere I go, that's just true.
Well, Jeremy, we appreciate this story, and it's really cool to hear about HHR, more about HHR and kind of your journey. But this is a gaming podcast, so we do like to ask all our participants to share a gambling story. Doesn't have to be a crazy one, but one where you went out, had a good time with friends, or you could even share someone else's gambling story.
Well, I won't throw anybody under a bus and share their stories for them. I think that can get me in trouble. As I mentioned, I started in gaming in '95. I think one of a funny story is it was probably my first G2E, but at that time it was the World Gaming Expo or something like that. And I was at the Las Vegas Hilton. Had a couple drinks, and I'm down playing at the roulette table playing. It's like, who plays roulette when you're in the gaming industry? So I'm having a few drinks, and then I can't go wrong. I can't miss anything. Man. And I got Freddie Couples all of a sudden.
Really?
There was a golf tournament going on.
Nice.
So I'm, 26, 27, long hair down to my shoulders. I'm sitting there being this idiot by myself, and then Freddie Couples and his gang, and I am just nailing it. I am betting $100 on getting straight up wins. I'm pretty sure the dealer was helping me out. So I was like, man, this is great. I love gaming. I love betting. I love roulette. And then about an hour later, I got up to $10,000 and I lost it all. So
that's a true gambler right there. You went the whole roller coaster on that one. Yeah, that's
there.
I mean, it was one of those experiences. Like, well, what are you gonna do? Was
Fred Couples riding your wave? Was he like, I'm betting with the kid, and put the numbers where you were?
Yeah, so they were sitting there. They were looking at me like, who is this guy?
Yeah,
what is
he
doing?
Come from? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Some kid from Maryland. That's funny.
I think it burns more when you win money and lose it than if you just lose your own money.
Straight off.
Yeah, straight off.
Yeah, because you're kicking yourself. Like, I could have 10 grand.
Yeah. I was certainly kicking myself, but at the same time,
we'll get them back.
It all worked out.
It was my first.
Yeah. You got to learn the lesson. That's how you know how to moderate. Otherwise, you'll never learn when to walk away because you'll just always think it's all on the up.
Yeah.
Right on. And so the other thing we ask everybody is we issue the Max Bet Challenge. So behind the scenes, Ross, who works with you guys, and Annabelle challenged you, so that's how we connected. But publicly, we ask everyone to kind of call somebody out and just say, hey, who do you think? You kind of see how we roll, and who do you think would be fun for us to talk to maybe in a future episode?
I think someone would be kind of fun, and I'd love to see and put him on the spot. Is this gentleman whom when I got started in gaming was part of Micon. His name is Don Baugh. He's the CEO of gaming support in Vegas.
Oh, cool.
He's a character.
Nice.
He could be. Sounds like a mobster. I want to know.
I don't know if he's a mobster, but he's probably seen a few things. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it. Awesome. Well, Don, we're coming for you, buddy. Let's get you in. If you're in Vegas, so are we. That'll be fun.
We can
have
yes, he's gonna hear it.
Well, somebody's gonna. What's inevitable is my favorite part about doing these. So we'll release this, however, a couple weeks, and then inevitably you and then now Don will get texts, and then we get texts from those guys going, "What the hell, man? You didn't tell me you're going to shout me out or get the talk."
Yeah.
You might want to warn him because he'll probably get a few messages in another week or two here. So
right, perfect. We'll do.
Awesome.
But
Thank
Jeremy,
you
this
so
has been
much.
awesome, man. Yeah, I appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.